Today we are going to start with a new chapter, which is elasticity. The word elasticity means responsiveness. In order to understand the meaning of price elasticity of demand or the responsiveness, let's take an example that you would like to buy two different products, Pepsi and medicine. If you know that the price of each one of them is 10 LE, but after a day the price increases to 12. So according to law of demand, as price increases, quantity demanded is going to decrease. But do you think your response, your action in cases is going to be the same? Of course not. Your response is the degree of responsiveness. So this is known as price elasticity of demand. Which is defined as the degree of the responsiveness of quantity demanded due to a change in price. Price elasticity of demand, or ED, can be calculated as percentage change in QD divided by percentage change in price, where percentage change in QD is calculated as a change in QD over average QD, or in other words, it is Q2 minus Q1 divided by Q2 plus Q1 over 2. Percentage change in price is calculated as a change in price over average price, or B2 minus B1 over B2 plus B1 over 2. Now we are going to use equation 1 and 2 and substitute in our original equation. So we can write elasticity of demand as Q2 minus Q1 over B2 minus B1 multiplied by B2 plus B1 over Q2 plus Q1. What we are going to get from calculating price elasticity of demand, and what is the meaning of the value or the number? The value of price elasticity of demand ranges from 0 to infinity. First, we are going to neglect the negative sign, as the negative sign stands for the negative relationship between price and the quantity demanded. Then we are going to take the absolute value. The absolute value can be 0, less than 1, 1, greater than 1, and infinity. What is the meaning of each one of these values? If it is less than 1, so it is in elastic demand. And in this case, the demand curve will be like this. Steep demand curve. It's not parallel to the y-axis, but it's almost parallel. It's not parallel to y-axis, okay? If it is greater than 1 and less than infinity, this is elastic demand. And this is the demand curve. Let's compare the difference between these two figures. Do you think which is greater? A change in Q or a change in price in this case? This is the change in quantity, okay, while this is the change in price. So which one of them is greater? Of course, a change in price. Returning back to our rule, which is percentage a change in QD over percentage change in price. So you would like to calculate small number and divided by a large number, so the value will be less than 1. In case of elastic demands, as price increases from B1 to B2, this is the change in price, and this is the change in quantity. Do you think which is greater? Change in quantity or change in price? Of course, it's change in quantity. So you would like to divide large number by a small number, so the value will be greater than 1. Okay, returning back to the 3 other values, 0, 1, and infinity. If it is 0, zero means perfectly in elastic demand. And this is the demand curve in this case, parallel to y-axis. In this case, whatever the change in price, quantity is constant. So in case of perfectly inelastic demand, quantity will not change. Case number 4. Elasticity of demand equal 1. Of course, it's -1 and we are going to neglect the negative sign. This is known as unit elastic, which means the percentage change in price equivalent to the percentage change in quantity, and it's a 45-degree line. They are equivalent to each other. This value is equivalent to this value. Okay, so this is unit elastic. Finally, case number 5. Which is infinity. This is perfectly elastic perfectly elastic demand. In this case, demand curve will be parallel to to x-axis. Almost there is no change in price. While quantity is going to change. Okay, so we have different quantities, but price almost constant, or there is no change in price. Okay. Examples. If elasticity of demand is greater than 1, so it is any luxury product, not necessity product. Pepsi. If elasticity of demand is less than 1, any necessary product such as foods, you are going to decrease the quantity, but you are not going to decrease it very much. If it is 0, such as insulin and drugs, salt, whatever the change in the price, you are going to use a fixed amount. Say, for example, salt. If price decreases, you are not going to increase salt in food. You are going to consume a certain amount. And finally, case number 4, which is infinity, such as stock market. Almost there is no change in prices, but people respond rapidly to changes in the stock market. Okay, So if you calculate elasticity of demand and it is negative 1.5, it is negative 0.3, it's negative 1. What is the meaning of each one of them? Number 1, negative 1.5. As we said before, we are going to neglect the negative sign and take the absolute value. Absolute value is greater than 1, so it is elastic demand. If you calculate it and it is negative 0.3, we neglect the negative sign. So 0.3 is less than 1, so it is inelastic demand. If it is negative 1, we are going to neglect the negative sign, and this is unit elastic demand. In case of elastic demand, the people are going to respond rapidly. They are going to increase the quantity very much, as it is not a necessary product. While in case of inelastic demand, they are going to decrease the quantity but by limited amount, as it is necessity. In case of unit elastic, the percentage change in quantity is going to be equivalent to the percentage change in price. Okay, here is an example. Calculate elasticity of demand if you know that B1 equals 10, B2 equals 15, and Q1 equals 100, Q2 equals 80. So if you would like to calculate elasticity of demand in this case, it's going to be calculated as Q2 minus Q1 over B2 minus B1 multiplied by B2 plus B1 over Q2 plus Q1. $80 minus 100 divided by 15 minus 10 multiplied by 15 plus 10 over 80 plus 100. Negative 0.56. So it is inelastic demand. Okay, we have two different types of price elasticity of demand: arc elasticity and point elasticity. In case of arc elasticity, we would like to calculate elasticity of demand between two different prices or two different points, B1 and B2. And this is the rule previously explained. In case of point elasticity, you want you to calculate price elasticity of demand at specific price, not between two different prices. We are not going to be given two prices. What's going to happen if you are going to increase price from 10 to 15 or to any number, but what is the price elasticity of demand at price 10? So we are not going to be able to use the last formula. In this case, elasticity of demand will be calculated as Q2 minus Q1 divided by B2 minus B1 multiplied by B over Q. Okay. What is this? This is B in demand function. QD equals A minus PP. So this is P. So in case of point elasticity of demand, you can take the slope from the demand function multiplied by B over Q. Example. QD equals 100 minus 2B. What is the price elasticity of demand when price equals 5? So first we have to find the quantity at this price through by the substitution or by substituting in equation QD. So Q equals 100 minus 2 multiplied by 5. Q equals 90. This is the quantity and this is the price. Now we are going to substitute in the formula here. Q2 minus Q1 over B2 minus P1 multiplied by B over Q. This is negative B multiplied by B over Q. So we can write it as negative 2 multiplied by 5 over 90. It's negative 0.11. So the demand in this case is in elastic demand. What is the importance of elasticity for the producer? The producer should know whether the product is elastic or not, as this is going to affect his revenues. Total revenue equals price multiplied by quantity. And according to law of demand, if price increase, quantity is going to decrease. So what is going to happen to total revenue? B increase, this depends on elasticity. Let's talk about 3 different cases: elastic demand, inelastic demand, and unit elastic demand. Here are three different examples in order to understand the main idea. This is price and the quantity for three different commodities. In the three different cases, price was 10 and increases to 12. In case number 1, as an initial situation, when price was 10, quantity demanded was 100. So total revenue is 1000. In the first case, as price increases from 10 to 12, we will decrease the quantity demanded from 100 to 90. So total revenue is 1080. In case number 2, as price increases from 10 to 12, quantity decreases to 50. So total revenue is 600. In case number 3, as price increases from 10 to 12, quantity decreases to 83.33, which is 1000. Case number 1, the demand is inelastic. The responsiveness is low responsiveness. The quantity decreased but by a small amount. So this is inelastic demand. In case number 2, the quantity decreased sharply. So it is elastic demand. But in case number 3, the change in quantity was equivalent to the percentage change in quantity was equivalent to the percentage change in price. So it is unit elastic demand. So in general, we can conclude that if the quantity is inelastic, as price increases, total revenue will increase. If the demand is inelastic, as price increases, total revenue will decrease. And in case number 3, if the demand is unit elastic, as price increases, total revenue will not change. It's constant. Okay. So you'll be asking to give a recommendation. You may be asked to give a recommendation to policymaker or to the supplier or producer whether to increase price or not. here are three different cases. In case number 1, elasticity is negative 1.5, so it is elastic demand. So do you think it's better for the producer to increase price or decrease it? It's better to decrease price in order to increase total revenue. Case number 2. The demand is inelastic. So it is better for the producers to increase price in order to increase total revenue. In case number 3, it's unit elastic. It doesn't matter to increase price or not, as total revenue is constant. This bar, TR bar, means constant. Okay? Okay, to sum up, today we talked about elasticity, which is the responsiveness of quantity demanded to change in price, or in other words, by how much you are going to change or to decrease the quantity demanded if price increases. And as we said, this depends on necessity of the product. One of the main factors that affect this the price elasticity of demand or your decision is the necessity of the product. The more necessary the product, the less the elasticity of demand. Okay, and then we talked about the value of elasticity. It can be 0, 1, less than 1, greater than 1, and infinity. We have calculated elasticity for arc and point. As we said before, arc, in case of arc, you should be given two different prices, P1 and P2, and two different quantities, Q1 and Q2. This is arc. But in case of point elasticity, you are going to be given only one price and only one quantity. Say, for example, calculate price elasticity of demand at equilibrium. So at equilibrium means that you are going to use equilibrium price and okay. Then we talked about the relationship between price elasticity of demand and total revenue. Thank you.